Good morning. This is Neal Miller. We're with the AFL-CIO Baton Rouge Labor Radio. Glad to be here this morning. Hope everybody's doing okay. We're going to start this show with, we've got a special guest, Brenda Burton. She's with the Burton Group. And good morning, Brenda.
Good morning, Neal.
Go one more time, Brenda.
Good morning, Neal.
How you doing? Brenda, let's go with real quick. I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to let the listeners who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Brenda Burton, and I'm the CEO of the Burton Group. I help specialize in helping retirees, near retirees, understand their retirement needs, and I have a lot of my clients that I take from the accumulation stage of their assets to the preserve stage through distribution stages with minimum amount of income tax, capital gains tax, estate tax, and the biggest fear most people fear is outliving their money. And so based on my principles, that's what I've based my business on. And I'm a certified senior advisor. I've been in the business for over 20 years. I belong to the National Ethics Bureau. I'm an independent and financial advisor. I'm also a certified long-term care specialist, and I enjoy helping people plan for their future and their retirement. And that's been my goal, to work to help save people their money and preserve it. And I've also had the pleasure of teaming up with Local 198 through their changes with the Affordable Care Act and being able to offer the drug card prescription and also the health plans.
You're a busy person, huh?
Well, yeah, and it's been so nice because it's like a family reunion over there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, Brenda, you do have a background as far as family that has and still participates in Local 198, and to that we thank you and your family. I think grandfather on down.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Joe Burton
and
my husband Anthony Burton and Richard Burton.
Yep, Richard's your brother-in-law. And with that, we're gonna lead in with some of the things that first of all, let's sit here and we're gonna start the show off talking about the Affordable Health Care Act. The Affordable Health Care Act, when it was first initiated, it was, when you start hearing the sound bites on it, it was I thought it was a no-brainer, at the time. And then you watch the struggle, the pains that President Barack Obama had, getting it through, and then the passage of the bill, and then watching it be fought all the way to the Supreme Court, and and we've talked about on this show about. We live in the United States of America. Everybody should have, there's no one couple that loves their kids more than another couple, and and it's a shame that the way the system was and kind of still is, with the health care, everybody should. If you live in the United States of America, I'm sorry, you should have the ability to bring your child or yourself to the doctor and get medical treatment and help. With that, then we implement it, or we start implementing it. And I sit on our board of trustees, which oversees not just the pension and the education, but it also oversees the health care. And I'm looking at this, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's nobody, I make this comment all the time and have been making it, nobody likes change.
No.
Nobody likes change, and I'm going to give you a little prime example. My office manager, Cheryl, when I first took office, or when I was in office, had been in office for a while, The only way that bills, as far as the only way that our union dues and the things were paid were either by cash or with a check or money order. And so we got to looking, or I got to looking at it, and I said, well, you know what? I watch all these businesses and everything. They use credit cards. My wife's a prime example on that. It's you use your debit card for pretty much everything. The check system, the old breaking out the checkbook and writing the checks. You don't see that at grocery stores as much.
Not anymore, hardly.
And but make a long story short, I was pretty diplomatic about it and went to her, approached her about doing it, and I had another gentleman involved in it and making it, getting all the things lined up where we could put it in our system, and I got resistance, and every time I go to her, she found a reason not to do it, and again, because she didn't want to change the way we did business. And then it tickled me because after 2 months of it being implemented, she loves it. I mean, and now we've had it there going on for 5-6 years now, and I mean, it's just a normal way of life. The members like it, Cheryl likes it, I like it, everybody likes it, and so I guess I was leading into when this affordable health care, we started having to implement it in our plan. I didn't like it. I liked it, then I didn't like it, and Miss Brenda has been up at our hall doing one-on-ones, and she's got a group of staff up there that are very polite, very knowledgeable, very good people, and what they're doing is basically bringing these people in, couples. It's normally a husband and wife. Right. Sometimes it's just the member. But that's a rarity, what I've been watching. Right. And but they're coming in there, and they're not too happy when they first walk in. No. And because again, and that's why I was telling people about the change. But they sit there. Some of them take 30 minutes. Most of them take about 2 hours or an hour. Yeah. And but they any questions they have to ask. Y'all have got a standard thing that you read to them. I've been, I try to walk through there about once an hour, and interrupt them. But what I've gathered from this is, and there was even one couple there for 8 hours.
Yes.
8 hours. Mm-hmm. So the whole day they were there. But there is no window of time that says, okay, you can only be here for 45 minutes. But they've been outstanding. They really have. And these people have appointments, and they come, and sometimes we had to adjust that a little bit because there were a little bit more questions than the norm, and it kind of pushed us back a little bit. But what I'm getting at is, Brenda, the people that are leaving out of there, it's a different attitude when they come out than when they went in. So the next thing that I push on this show is education.
That's right.
All right, education is where we stand as far as being organized labor, where I feel like we are a little step above our counterparts on the other side, on the dark side. And education. That's what I preach. So that's what I'm seeing coming out of this. The guys are going in there, they're getting educated on this, and then they're coming out with a different attitude. And they're also, from what I gather, they're also coming out a little bit cheaper as far as what they're paying, too.
Well, they are. And then there's no cap on the medicine like it was. Effective January, you're not supposed to have any caps on your medicine, so that's all uncapped. The health plan, a lot of them is coming out cheaper because it's based on your income. So if it's under $62,040, they're coming out where basically much cheaper than what they're paying at the hall, and that's full coverage. That's That's their medicine, unlimited. Everything's unlimited, no pre-existing. And the choice to have a big network to go basically to any doctor or hospital they want. And when they're leaving, they're very happy. We're getting hugs and saying thank you so much for explaining everything. I was scared at first, and now I understand it. And then, of course, the staff at Local 198 has just been excellent. The membership has high regards for y'all, and that they've expressed that to us. Their biggest concern was, were they going to be leaving 198? And I told them, no, 198 you'll still be part of 198. All they're doing is helping make sure that you're having affordable coverage, and once you're able to go back to retired age 65, you're able to go back and get your health insurance back through the hall and have a drug card.
And so nobody misinterprets this. The guys, the active guys, the guys that are out in the field still working, they're still insured through Local Union 198 and will continue to be. The pre-Medicare retirees and the Medicare retirees are coming in and are going through the affordable health care part of it, and that's where you bring you don't put a car mechanic welding on pipe. You you put me over there, and vice versa. You don't put me over there working on a car. So that's when we brought y'all in to educate these people. And but again, the active guys will and continue to be with 198. We still are insured, and the Medicare retirees are still coming, have the opportunity to come through and get we're offering the Medicare subsidy, but with no prescription, and they're coming in here and they're getting a prescription plan with that.
Right, and then they're being able to get a 90-day supply, zero copays, unlimited, and that's nice, especially if you have a lot of illness.
Well, let's talk about this a little bit. If I don't belong to 198, or I don't belong to any affiliate and by the way, we've got Brenda Burton. She's with the Burton Group on today, and this is WTQT 106.1. My name's Neal Miller. If we have any callers out there, please call in. It's area code 225-343-1075. Would love somebody to call if you've been hesitant about getting on the computer and getting into this affordable health care. Don't know what avenue to take. That's one of the reasons why I brought Miss Brenda in here today, is to educate us. So if you have some kind of concern, and what I was fixing to ask you, Brenda, is we've got listeners out here that aren't affiliated with the union, aren't affiliated with Local 198. They're just good people,
right,
just like we are, and they have some concerns. Can you guide them in the right direction?
Oh, sure. Well, yes, and open enrollment's going to be coming up again. That's one thing. Every year you get to change plans, or if you haven't started a plan, you can start it. The way it's going to be is that they're going to have an annual enrollment period. It's not like it used to be where you can drop your insurance or start insurance at any time. So the prescription drug plan starts October 15th through December 7th, and the health insurance starts November 15th through December 15th for the following year of January of 2015. And you'd be surprised, based on your income, a lot of people are hardly paying anything for their health insurance. Again, if they make under $62,040, they're really coming out good. Especially the more, whoever you have on your tax returns. If it's a family of 4, you're really doing good.
Okay, let's start. I think what we need to do on this, let's start from scratch.
Okay.
Let's say that I've been hearing about it. I've been hearing about this, and that I need to enroll. what's my and I know there is money figures as far as what your income is,
right,
and all this, but let's just say that I don't know nothing about it other than I know I need to enroll. Not just I know I need to, I want to.
right, right.
What's my first step, Brenda?
Well, you can make an appointment with us. We'll gladly sit down with you, take your information, show you on the computer all the different plans that, based on your income, if you fall in that category, there's so many to choose from. Some's got 0 premiums.
And some people might be able to, I hate to interrupt you, but some people might be able to do it themselves. They'll get on there and
right.
What's the advantage or disadvantage? The disadvantage is y'all are a little bit more knowledgeable.
Right, and we can show them and explain how each plan works. But basically, they can go on healthcare.gov, look at the plans. Don't be intimidated by it. I mean, it asks you what state you live in. What do you want, health or dental? Then it'll ask your income. Then it'll ask how many's in your household. And then you hit a button, and it gives you all the plans to choose from. And some, the higher the deductible and the higher the out-of-pocket is, then that's the less premium you'll pay. One good thing about the way that they do this now is that anything that you go to the doctor for, buy prescriptions, have tests or x-rays, goes towards your out-of-pocket. So, a lot of the plans that we've been doing has been a $500 deductible and $1,400 out-of-pocket. And when that $1,400 is zeroed out, well, then when you go to the doctor, it won't cost you anything. It won't cost you anything to buy your medicine or have x-rays or blood work, or even if you had to go to the hospital. And that could be for your whole family.
And again, this all hinges according to your income. So if we have somebody in the case that Brenda, they're just struggling to make ends meet as far as just putting some food on the table.
Right.
They're still covered, and do they have to enroll or no, or how does that work?
Well, the way it works is based on your income. So if you're not making very much money, you're not going to naturally be able to afford to pay premiums. And in this case, it helps where, like a lot of them, they have 0 premiums. They're not even having to pay. And they're able to go to their doctor, their children. There's no pre-existing. That's went into effect in January. That was one good thing, is so many people weren't able to buy insurance because they had pre-existing. And they can't cancel you because you get sick. And that was what was going on, too. So this really was really nice the way it turned out. It's helping people financially, emotionally, spiritually, knowing that they can do all this.
What is the effect of our great governor not buying into the Medicare expansion?
He's hurting Louisiana. He really did. He turned down a lot of money, and what the taxpayers are going to have to pay, because people who don't, from $0 to $15,000 in income, they don't qualify to be able to get the Obamacare insurance, mainly because he turned down the Medicaid program.
So if we had a couple, or if we had an individual between the 0 and 15,000 a year, they still have to go through what?
They'd have to go through Medicaid, but since he's cut that out, they have to go to the emergency room to be seen. They have to wait.
A sniffle, a cough,
emergency room's the only way to be treated. And so it really hurt.
Yeah.
He's not putting Louisiana first.
No, he never has. But all right, so now we've had we get back on. Let's talk about again. I want to educate our people out here. When you're talking about deductibles, let's walk through some of these through the deductibles, because that can get kind of tricky too.
Sure.
The deductibles. You've got deductibles on prescription drugs. You've got deductibles on major medical. Sometimes you got deductibles on your doctor visits, or call them copays.
Copays.
And on prescription drugs, instead of deductibles, they're copays or whatever. Let's and that's all offered in these plans too, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so let's go through what a copay is. What's a copay?
A copay is going to be what you pay to the doctor, your primary care doctor. That's what everybody's used to. And then your specialist, they'll have a different copay. For their PA or nurses assistants, they'll have a copay for that. They'll have a copay for prescriptions, for your generics, for your non-preferred generics, for your brand, non-preferred brand, and then the specialty drugs, like maybe like your chemo or an expensive drug. If it's $1,000, you'd pay 10%. That would be $100. The other thing is, a lot of them, they have copays that go to the doctor. Like you can have a $250 to the hospital. Excuse me, $250 copay, $500 copay to the hospital, and then there's a $0 for the physicians and the anesthesias that put you to sleep. There's $0 copays for them. Different plans take care of different things, but the more that you pay out of pocket, the less the premium is. But
then you've also had then we go from the copays to what's a deductible.
Right, and usually the deductible, depending on usually the deductibles don't affect your doctor's visits or your medicine. Usually your deductible comes in when you have to go to the hospital. Some plans when you have to have your lab work and x-rays, that's where your deductible come in, and then they're like a 20% co-insurance. But what's so great about the way it is now is that you have a maximum out of pocket. Once you reach that maximum out of pocket, then it's $0. When you go to the doctor, when you have medicine, or if you have to go back to the hospital, you don't pay anything except your premium.
And so basically you have no copay, you have no deductible once you meet
you're out of pocket.
Out of pocket. And but again, there are so many different options or so many different plans, and I'm not trying to sell Miss Brenda here, but what I am telling you is there's a wealth of knowledge with her and her group that hey, it's scary to get on there and look at this, because once you hit that enter button and you start seeing all your options, and you feel like you have to choose right there on the spot, and you don't understand it, or I don't, and when you first get on it, and it's good to have an ear or somebody sitting there with you that can navigate around there and say, okay, let's look this one here. This is what this means. This is what the copay is. This is what the deductible is. This is the out of pocket. This is your premium. A premium is your monthly payment for it. And so again, Brenda, if well, first of all, if we got any callers that have any thoughts on this, it's area code 225-343-1075. This is WTQT 106.1 FM. My name is Neal Miller. This show is brought to you by the AFL-CIO, Greater Baton Rouge Building and Trades. And I've got Brenda Burton with us right now. Brenda, I've asked them if they have some calls, if they're kind of bashful and don't want to call in. How can they get a hold of you?
They can call me at 225-405-0201. That's 225-405-0201. And one good thing about when we sit down with you, we'll go over some plans, and then we'll pull a specific plan, and then we'll print it out, and then we go over line by line the details. And you'll get a copy when you leave, and you know exactly what you're getting. And we've explained and marked all the great highlights. But the other thing that we talk about, that I've been helping people at the hall, is I ask them if they're a veteran. And if they're a veteran, some people are getting their medicines Some see the veterans doctors. But then if they're sick and they need a long-term care situation or help taking care of them, they also have a benefit called the aides and attendance benefit that a lot of VA members do not know about. The veterans don't know about, and we take great pride in educating them on that. Now, I'm not representing the VA, but I just have the knowledge of how it works, and I've printed out a couple of forms and given them to a couple of the members out of Local 198 also. We also talk to them about making sure they have their will, their durable power of attorney, their health power of attorney, to help make decisions if one of them would be incapacitated as a couple. Just a lot of things people just don't know about and haven't planned, and that's what we try to do. We try to help them get planned and protected all the way around, from their health, their money, and just making sure that when they die, that their money goes and their estate goes to where they want it to go, not to the state and let the state take what they want.
Well, and do y'all, and you brought up the veterans, because we have had some people that have came in there with that, and they were shocked that
they didn't know about
it. They knew nothing about it. And again, I do try to make my rounds through there, and again, it's really comforting knowing that my members are getting great care or great advice. Something else that I like about the Baton group is they're not married to one plan. I mean, so this is the advantage of, you're going to talk to some of these groups, and I'm not going to throw out some different coverages, but they might be tied in to one particular insurance group, and the other one might be tied in to another one, and they're going to push you naturally. They're going to push you to the one that they're representing, and the good thing about the Baton group is they are for the people. I mean, so they've got knowledge, and it's kind of like going over there shopping. My wife's going to disagree with this, but I'm going to say it anyhow. But good morning, Karen. Good morning, Ernest. I know Big E's listening and Karen's listening. I've gotten a couple of texts from them already. But when you go shopping, the great value. There's some stuff that the great value just don't taste the same.
That's right.
And I think that you might want to spend a couple, few dollars more, or maybe the extra quarter or whatever, and get the name brand on a couple of things. But she thinks that the great value is a great value, and I'm not disagreeing, but in some instances, it just don't taste the same. And kind of what I'm getting at is it's the same thing with this insurance. If you're married to one of these particular insurance groups, you're pushing that insurance group. It might not be, you're not comparing apples to apples.
That's exactly right.
And that's the great thing about the Baton group is them showing you your options, giving you comparable options on, look, this is a great plan, but why? This is why you might want to look at this one, because the prescription drug deductible is cheaper, or
there's no deductible.
There's no deductible, mm-hmm. And then this guy, you got a couple, they're taking no medication whatsoever. They might want to look at getting one that has a deductible because their premium be cheaper.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a good thing, because they sit there. That's one of the first things they do is all the prescription drugs that you're on. They go through that, and that's part of their analysis to decide
each one of them.
Yeah.
And how many do you take? And if it's a generic, if it's a brand, because a lot of people can't take generics, and so that makes
they can't take great value.
But no, it's just that they just can't for whatever reason. Either their body won't take it, or they just flat don't want to take generics. So in that case, they're going to pay more, for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we analyze each person's prescription, and we go through the plans and say, this is what this plan's going to cost you. And, we're not married to one company. I mean, we go to the Medicare.gov and we pull up 32 companies and key it in, and whichever one comes out the best, we go off our recommendations and we show them and we'll print them out.
And there's 32 different companies, and correct me if I'm wrong, out of 32 companies, none of them are a mirror image of one another.
No. Depending on, there's been, one couple that came in, and I mean, it was AARP, it was a higher premium, but they were on so much medicine that was the one that we ended up going with, but it was a higher premium, but that was the way that they were able to save over half of their medicine, the price of their medicine, where the other plans were like, $10,000, and the other, when they finished with us, we got it down to $3,200.
Yeah, and pretty big savings.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and so that's some of the things, and that's some of the people that are coming in there looking at that. And again, the enrollment's coming up, and explain about the enrollment, because I know, is it a calendar year, January?
Yes. Well, what happened, because of the situation that 198's in right now, they have a special enrollment. They can have everything done for September 1.
Mm-hmm.
But then come October 15th, they kind of get to try it and make sure they like it. October 15th through December 7th on the prescription drug plan, if they're not happy maybe with the drug plan that they started with, they can change and have another one for January 1.
Okay. And for the open public,
It's the same thing. October 15th.
October 15th, you have to enroll for January the 1st?
Right. It's from October 15th through December 7th. And every year you need to look at this. 198's not used, the members are not used to this because y'all have always taken such great care of them. But now that this is a new lingo that you'll hear on the TV now, they'll pay attention because it pertains to them now.
Mm-hmm.
But every October 15th, they need to see if they started with a plan because they're on no medication. Well, maybe they got sick during the year and they're on a lot of medication. So maybe the plan that we put them on for people who don't hardly take any medicine, they need to look at it because it'll be cheaper for them to move to another plan. Even though that plan's cheap, it might not cover all the medicines that they're on. So that's why you really need to look at it every October 15th, open enrollment period. And if everything stays the same, you don't have to worry. But if your medicine goes up, you want to give us a call and let us move you to another plan and let us analyze your medicine again.
And then that's something else that I've seen, because you brought up medicine a few times, is there are some prescription drugs that I'm assuming that one carrier covers that another one doesn't
exactly
cover.
And
right. That's one of the main reasons why y'all have got a little form that the people have filled out prior to coming. I've also seen the plastic bags with all the medication.
Yeah,
in it,
baskets
or
of medicine.
They bring up there to because what the Burton group asks is you fill out this little pre-form that shows the medicines that you're on, so they can kind of before you get there, they can look through and see which carriers cover what, and eliminate a few of them or add a few to their what they're proposing. And and like I said, I've seen some, they don't want to miss a beat, so they just bring the whole bag of prescription drugs up there, or baskets.
And we encourage that because that way we don't miss a drug, because the one medicine they might forget might be the most expensive one and not be covered.
Yeah, and again, let's get back on the enrollment. So it's October the 1st?
No, October 15th.
15th.
Through December 7th for the prescription drugs.
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
So if we've got some people that have not enrolled, listeners, they don't have to be union members. They could just, they're just listeners, good people that have have not had the opportunity or have not had the time, are just intimidated by getting on.
And the other thing, that's for the Medicare. You know, either you're on disability Medicare or turning 65. It's real important that you get a drug plan, regardless if you're not on any medicine, because for every month that you're not on it, you don't have a plan, they're going to charge you 1% per month until you get on one. If you wait until you're sick, you could be paying a lot more for that premium if you would have just enrolled earlier when it first started.
And a lot of the cases, they might be paying zero.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing. I mean, it's again, don't procrastinate. You can get on. I got another question for you. I already know the answer, but I'm gonna ask a question. If I come in there, you're going to sit there and help me when I walk out that office right there. Is my wallet going to be lighter?
Well, it's not going to, because you paid us anything.
That's what I want to hear. I mean, so again, that's the lovely thing about this. It's they're not married to a particular company, an insurance company. She just told us that there's 32 different ones. She's got the same, or you have the same capability of getting online and looking at the same group of plans that she does. The only difference is they're educated about it, and they educate you about it. So at the beginning of the hour, we were talking about education. If you got any questions, please call in at 343-1075. And, I've got Brenda Burton with the Burton Group on, and you got any questions for her, just call in. And, Brenda, it's been great watching you with the members. With my members up there at the hall for the past few weeks, and it looks like we're fixing to wrap it up. What you got, about another week over there?
Right. Now, there's still a lot of people that still hadn't responded. We got a couple of calls that said that they thought it was just junk mail and they threw it away. So,
girl, you ain't supposed to say that on this radio show.
Sorry. No, but I'm talking about, no, not that. That what we were saying was junk. That's all. I mean, I'm just being honest. And I told them, no, it's not. You need to at least come and listen to us and then make your decision. The other thing too is that a lot of the members are getting ready to turn 65, and what they don't understand or know is that when they go on Medicare, they have a benefit that's called Welcome to Medicare. It's a one-time offer when they first turn 65 that takes care of all the testing for preventive that when you would go to have a physical that you would have to pay for. Well, all of them, for all these tests that they give you are not going to cost you anything because it's Welcome to Medicare. Medicare takes care of this one time, and they put you through the ringer with all these tests, and where you wouldn't maybe do it on your own because they're expensive, Medicare is going to take care of this. But this is only when you're turning 65 or if you're on disability when you come onto the plan. And with y'all, there's no deductibles, there's no copays.
And when she's saying with us, that's for my members that are going through her group to choose their plan, the pre-Medicare retirees and the Medicare retirees.
Right.
And Brenda, you have you've got another thing for my guys that are listening, guys and women that are listening. Another advantage of going with the Burton Group is I've got some members that are unable to drive.
Right.
They're not able to get they're not able to get in the in the car. They don't have somebody that can bring them up there, what have you, or health reasons. They're
homebound.
They're homebound. Another advantage is when we get through next week, the Burton Group is going to focus on going and giving one-on-one at their house. I'm sure y'all bring a laptop with you.
Oh yeah, we have that, printers, we have everything. We have a mobile office.
and so they're going to start going to my my people as far as going to each one of them. that aren't able to get up to the hall to get this information. So and that's offered to, I mean, the listeners out here that are listening.
That's the same offer.
If you can, naturally, if you're capable of coming and seeing them, it's a whole lot easier, not just on you, but on them, for you to do that. And, but I highly suggest that if you have not enrolled, you've got doubts about it, you're scared of it, or just don't know how to navigate on it, throw out your number again there, Brenda.
It's 225-405-0201, and that's 225-405-0201.
Hold on, Brenda.
Okay.
Good morning, caller. You on air?
Good morning, Mr. Miller.
Well, good morning, Mr. Ernest Stevens. How are you doing?
I'm absolutely wonderful, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. Brenda, we've got Ernest Stevens. He is the assistant to the president of the Louisiana AFL-CIO.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brenda.
Brenda, one thing about this show, there's two people I can always count on listening and critiquing. And one of them is Ernest Stevens. The other one is my wife, Karen Miller. So Ernest will call in, Karen a text. So how you doing, Big E?
I'm doing good, Neil. I was listening at the show this morning, and I guess I've got a couple of questions for Brenda, and you may have gone over them, but I just didn't hear the answers, maybe.
Okay.
The first question I have is the open enrollment period. I know she said it was October, but if there's a person that may be interested, could they come in before October? Do they have the opportunity to review the plans, or do they have to just wait until that open enrollment period time?
No, we can do it before. We just can't actually enroll you till October 15th. We can discuss it, but we can't do anything till October 15th. That's just Medicare's rule. But we can talk and go over all the plans beforehand, but we can't actually enroll you till October 15th.
Okay. All right. And the next question was for we've got some individuals, especially our members, that may be out of work, or some of the retirement plans now allow them to retire at 55. They lose coverage after maybe 2 years. They keep it for a year and a half. That they COBRA pay. Once it's over, we find that some of them are still on the plans that their spouses are on. Would they be eligible to participate in the program?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Ernest, that's what we're going through right now, and that's what Brenda and the Burton group are doing at our hall right now, is for we had the same, we fall into that category. We had the 55 years old with 30 years of service, they could retire early. That is now age 60. So you've got age 60 to 65. You've got this gap that you're pre-Medicare, and again, if you were insured up to that, you can pay the COBRA. But once the COBRA runs out, you're kind of on this island. But now they're not on the island. They've got the opportunity to come in and. She can sit here and tell you some success stories as far as what some of these people are paying, what they thought they were going to be paying, and what they're really paying.
And some of them on their retirement checks, because their wife, maybe they were, the member is on Medicare, but the wife is not old enough to be on Medicare. They're walking out, some of them, with a $350 to $400 increase in their pension check because of what we've done. Because we look at all things. We don't take anything for granted. Every person that sits down gets treated the same way, and we do the fact finder, and we give them the options. We help them make their decisions, but bottom line, it's their choice. All we can do is make suggestions and say, I think this is where you would come out better, and we make sure that when we do pick a plan that we look up their doctors and their hospital. We even go that step further, which, normally people would just get a plan and not worry about that. But we even go that extra step and make sure, we want to make sure your doctors are on the plan. We want to make sure the hospital you want to go to is on the plan. And if not, we'll start all over again. So, when you're there, you have our full attention, and we're not trying to rush you out because we know we got other people. We just are so thankful that the other people are understanding, because when they get to us, we take the same time with them also.
Well, your service sounds like a great service, especially to our brothers and sisters in the union movement. I find a lot of times folks tend to be afraid of what they don't understand.
Exactly.
And with your help and the way you appear to be explaining it to them and showing them exactly what their options are, it's a big help, and I just want to thank you.
Oh, well, it's been my honor, and I'm so grateful. I've been working with the hall for the retirees for over 10 years. When people would retire, I would help them from making sure that they were able to get either life insurance or health insurance if they fell out in that gap. But now, thanks to the Affordable Care Act, we don't have to worry about any more pre-existing, and you also get help. There's a lot of people that's getting tax subsidies that's making their premiums really affordable, whereas before they just really couldn't afford insurance.
Ernest, another big scare tactic was, and this was a year ago, and I say a year ago, this is still being brought up. With the Affordable Health Care Act, your doctor's not going to be on it. They're going to get off of it.
That's not true.
Are you seeing any of that, Brenda?
No.
Huh?
No.
And she's shaking her head no. But, I mean, it's, you remember all those, Ernest?
Well, the folks that were against the Affordable Care Act, they came up with all kind of theories, and like I said, they were scare tactics, really. Folks that didn't understand, they fell for it because they didn't have folks like Brenda to explain to them exactly what was going on and what was going to be and what they could have.
And like I said, the same thing held true with my membership. Coming into the Millen area, they were, not too happy about it. But when they walked out after they were educated with it, they're starting to think, you know what, all this Rush Limbaugh stuff I've been listening to isn't true. All this, the doctor of the poor, Bill Cassidy, who came up with it wanted to do the same thing that the Obama administration wanted to do when he wasn't running for office. Now he's against it that he's running for office. That's the kind of things that our listeners and our members have to listen to every day. And again, if we don't start educating our members as far as what's the truth and what's not the truth, and we let the Rush Limbaughs of the world beat their chests and scream real loud, our people start listening to it and sometimes they start believing it, believe it or not.
The other thing, too, is that, like the Bill Cassidys, they don't have to worry about their health insurance. They served one term. They got insurance and their spouse for the rest of their life. And so if they weren't guaranteed health insurance, this probably would have been taken care of a long time ago, but because they don't have to worry about it, that's how they're getting by with everything. If we had the same insurance they did, we would be just one big old happy family, one plan, just like they are. If it's good for them, it should be good for us, and we shouldn't have to pay for it either, just like they don't.
Well, Brenda, Ernest, Ernest doesn't take near the credit that he should take, but the AFL-CIO, and we've talked about this a lot during the session. They are basically up there lobbying for the working people of Louisiana, the men and women of Louisiana. Ernest, there was a couple of bills this past legislation that tried to force Gentle into getting into this. What happened with that?
in this last session, Neal, those bills that you're referring to, a few of them didn't even make it out of committee. You had one or two that made it to the House floor, House bills, that didn't make it. But it was because the folks on the other side had some of those high-paid lobbyists to come in, and they brought in supposed experts from other states that had no idea what was going on in our state. And they worked and they worked and they worked, and they brought all these mistruths to the folks, and they just didn't pass.
Well, I tell you what, after reading the paper the last couple of weeks, I think the best thing to do is just hold your bill all the way to the end, and then you tuck it in like like an amendment or however that what was the state trooper and them did with when General wanted to give them three.
Wait until the last day and send it to a conference committee and amendment.
And get a $300,000 raise, and then he's got that ink pen in his hand. Jindal does, and he wants to talk about ethics, and about this, and I'm fixing to pound on him a little bit, but it's one of the things that just gnaws at me, to see him up on a microphone talking about transparency and about ethics and this and that. And here he is, he is literally giving a $300,000 bonus to this guy of the taxpayers' money. And if you know what, right's right and wrong's wrong. If the guy deserved it, I'm more power to him. Give him the money. I believe in that. But do it, but yet you're going to attack my plumbers with a plumbing bill and put more burden on them. But yet you're going to slip this one through the cracks at the last minute, and then what I'm getting at is he's got an ink pen and he could not sign it. He could veto that and say no, we're not going to do that because it's not the right thing to do, But yet go ahead, Ernest.
The thing is, Neal, if at this point, if Bobby Jindal could find a way to accept that money and make it look like it was all his idea and he's doing something for the people of the state of Louisiana, it would be a no-brainer. It would be done. It's just like the stimulus money a few years ago. He was dead against the stimulus money. When Representative Avon Honey, they said he slipped it on them. But once that stimulus money started to come to the state, Bobby Jindal was all over the state of Louisiana, in these rural areas especially, bringing little checks like it was something that he had done.
Yeah. Go get a duck call. Look, we're getting off the tangent. I want to get back on this affordable health care.
I just wish he would put Louisiana first.
Put Louisiana first. Ernest brought up a couple of good questions. The open enrollment is October the 7th.
No, October 15th.
15th.
Through December 7th, the prescription drug plan.
But I would think it would be beneficial to not only you, but also the listeners that if that they could come in prior to that and see which plans that would best suit them.
Yeah, you can shop.
Yeah, you can shop. When to shop.
That's exactly right. But the only thing is you just got to wait till October 15th to actually enroll. But by then you'd have your homework. You can feel comfortable. You'll be able to read about it. You'll be able to compare it. You can even get your doctor, compare your medicines. When you look at our plans.
Brenda, this is another, and I hate to interrupt you, but one thing that I have seen, Ernest, is they get people that get on the website and you get a password and you do all kind of stuff, and then they don't write their password down, or they lose it or forget it or whatever.
And then we get locked out. We can't get in.
And then they get locked out when they're trying to get in there to help you out. So that's another advantage, because when you come to the Burton group, or the Burton group comes to you, they sit down and they're right there in front of you, and
we print out everything. We write everything down for you, and when we leave, you got all of it.
But you got all of it. They don't keep nothing.
We don't save anything.
You've got everything right there. You've got your password. They tell you don't lose this. I've watched them in action. Let's you need to put this in your file drawer or your little safe. You don't want to lose this number here.
Because they're the ones, we can't get it. They have to go online or call and get them to unlock the account, and they have to come up with new passwords and new username. That we cannot do that. I mean, that's why it's so important that either, one, you don't get online at all and let us help you in the beginning, and because if you do forget it, it's a nightmare. It could take 3 days to get it unlocked.
Right. Well, Neal, look, I know you're coming up on that 9 o'clock hour, but I think it's very important that before you leave the air, you ask Brenda to give her contact information again. I know she did it early on in the show. Someone might have come in later, just missed it the first time, and I think it needs to be given out again.
We definitely will. And Ernest, as usual, thanks for calling in. We do appreciate it. And, always been a friend, always will be a friend, and, a big staunch supporter of the working men and women of Louisiana. Thanks, Ernest.
Thank you, Neal. Y'all have a good day. Goodbye,
okay.
Brenda.
Nice talking to you.
Good talking to you.
And we've got about 4 more minutes. This is WTQT 106.1 FM. This is brought to you by the AFL-CIO, Greater Baton Rouge Building and Construction Trades. My name is Neal Miller. I'm the business manager for Local Union 198, Plumbers and Pipe Fitters right here in the Baton Rouge area. We've got Brenda Burton with the Burton Group on, and we've been talking about the Affordable Health Care Act and how you can enroll. Brenda, this is going to be your 3 minutes of whatever you want to tell them.
Okay.
Definitely give your phone number out a couple of times. Do you have an email address?
I do.
Okay.
I have the easy one to remember is Brenda Burton at mac.com or the Burton Group at mac.com. The Burton Group is THEBURTONGROUP at mac.com. Again, it's THEBURTONGROUP at mac.com or Brenda Burton, BURTON, at mac.com. So you can contact me by email. You can contact me on the phone, 225-405-0201. And just a little overall, when we get you, we like to go from A to Z with you. We do a fact finder on you. We want to know everything about you to be able to make recommendations, whether you're still working, getting ready to retire. We want to help you be able to plan for your estate to make sure everything that you want to go to your heirs goes to your heirs. We want to make sure that you have a will. We want to make sure you have durable power of attorney if you're a husband and wife. We want to make sure you have your health durable power of attorney. Anything that needs to be taken care of your money, we want to be able to do consolidations as far as if you have IRAs and spread out. If you have a 401k that you're no longer working there, we need to roll it over, get it into an IRA for you. We also convert IRAs to Roths for you. Anything that's going to help take care of your estate, we put a folder together, and when we're through with you, it's going to be, you just grab this folder. If you're both deceased, your heirs will know what to do with this folder. It'll have everything in there for you. And it's been a pleasure working with Local 198. The staff has just been outstanding. There's no way we could have accomplished this without the staff and the membership. Like I said, it's been more like a family reunion. They have had so much fun seeing everybody that they haven't seen for years. And it's just been one really nice party. We've just really enjoyed it.
Well, and again, we thank you. It's been again, going into this, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you or anybody else. I was hesitant about doing this. A little fear.
Sure.
We mentioned at the top of the show about nobody likes change.
That's for sure.
the education part, bringing you and your staff in there was very nice, and and educational, not just for my members' part, but also for me too. With that being said, I've got Brenda Burton with the Burton Group. Real quick, what's your phone number?
225-405-0201.
If you have any questions about the Affordable Health Care Act, please call her. This show was brought to you by the AFL-CIO Baton Rouge Building and Construction Trades. My name is Neal Miller, and I just can't thank you enough for listening in. Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Brenda.
Thank you, Neal.
He has some questions for you that are labor-related, and I want to thank you for getting up early and coming on Baton Rouge Labor Radio.
Oh, I have an 8-month-old baby. I get up early every morning.
Good morning, Governor. How you doing? This is Neal.
Good morning.
Well, first of all, let me tell you how much of an honor it is to have you on our show. It really, truly is. Mike and I remember as I got to tell you right now, my whole family's listening to this show, so everybody believes in you too. And thank you for running. We do appreciate you running.
Good.
And a couple of things is one is the Employee Free Choice Act. That it came up right after the 2008. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the Employee Free Choice Act would have right now they've got restrictions on and you're aware of that, how they got restrictions on unions being able to organize a particular job or any job, the fact of the matter. But how would you have voted with that Employee Free Choice Act? I already know the answer would have been you'd have been with us, but how would that have been?
Well, I certainly believe in the right of workers to organize and to get together in some kind of organization to protect their rights and to get better benefits. Unions are responsible for much of the safety conditions at work, the workplace. They're largely responsible for abolishing child labor laws. They're largely responsible for minimum wage increases and also for health care for workers, because before that happened, there were no rules or regulations, and employers did whatever they could get away with. Thank goodness that those days are over with. And one of the things that unions are suffering from now is success, because once the unions were responsible for abolishing all those bad practices, unfortunately, many people forgot that the advances and the improvements came from union organizations, and they gradually pulled away from it. And more and more politicians, I feel, in the last 10 years, actually probably 20 years, have moved to deprive